ladies and gents, another video brought to you by Ant's Hood. So it's the second part of the review of the Wakooshi second largest Outworld. I mean, if this is second largest, the big one's just going to be massive. I've heard rumours that he said that it's going to be like twice the size of this one. If that is the truth, you're going to need a big room for it. And I've grouped this second part of the review with my Solenopsis getting a completely new setup. Now the reason for that is I've done product reviews previously and I've said, yeah, this looks cool, this is good, but until you connect it to ants and actually see it doing its stuff, you don't know if it's any good or not. And to tell you the truth, some of the reviews I've done where I've said something was good is actually pants and I don't use it anymore. So that's why I've kind of stepped away from product reviews per se. Let's do a little bit of housekeeping from the last video. Right, first off, this is pre-production, by the way, boys and girls. So that means that it didn't come with instructions and stuff like that, but when you get it, it will. Yes, it is pre-production. Yes, I did pay for it before anyone says I've stopped brown-nosing Wakooshi. That's not the case. Ant Ramblings did make the suggestion that Wakooshi should link the video on his website so people know how to put it all together and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't see him doing that though, to be fair. But moving back onto the review, he's actually changed a couple of bits on this for his newer Gen 3 stuff, which should be out in December, he tells me. Now, I can't talk too much about his Gen 3 stuff because he's keeping that very close to his chest and he's told me nothing. Wow, very little anyway. But his old tubing was 15 mils, and if you notice from my other videos, I'm always whinging that the tubing's too big. But he's actually cut it down now to 13 mils in a diameter of 10 mils. So it is quite a fair bit smaller, but it's still quite on the big side considering most of the stuff I use has got an outer diameter of 10 mils anyway. Now these pillars here, really good because there is a big Outworld, and acrylic is notorious for warping if it's under any kind of strain. That even includes the strain of its own weight. So if you've got a large Outworld like this, it doesn't have pillows, well, or any form of support, you're going to get some warping. I know there's a similar one out there that's similar size to this, maybe a bit bigger, that's got some serious warpage going on. I wonder what retailer that is. If you notice in the pillars, they've got notches, and that allows you to attach feeding platforms to, as you can see here. Now, I personally love this because it just adds a bit three-dimensional to such a big Outworld. And if you look here as well, you've got the little tubs here where you can put your roaches in and stuff like that, or liquid if you want to. But they can also be removed to leave this platform, so you can use the flat platform to feed on, which is really good. And Wakooshi do these little honey pots, jelly pots like these, which are awesome because he's also got these here where you just slot them in and they can feed from and you just pop it out again. Really good idea, love it. I mean, personally, I think it's going to be really interesting to see them collect the food from here, run it down the pillars and then off into the nest. I think that could be really interesting to watch. Not only that though, I'm hoping that they won't move the debris over to the liquid feeders, which could be on the other platform, or the jelly pots on the other platform, so they don't put debris and rubbish in it like they have a nasty tendency to do currently. Mine didn't come with these, I had to buy them extra, and luckily if they shipped quick enough for me to get them in this video. But I think I would, because you're spending so much on this, I think it would be a nice idea if you put one of each, like the little jelly tub holder and the little feeding platform. I think that'd be really good to include that in the sale when it goes to retail, but that's just my personal opinion. It's completely up to Wakooshi what he wants to do. Now, to my understanding, like his current Outworlds, if you want a second entrance, you can just buy the end piece for it. It's got the entrance on there too. So if that's something you want to look at doing, you can, which is a bit of versatility. Let's take a look at my Solenopsis and see how they're getting on. As you can see, they're quite busy in the Outworlds, but the nest is pretty much rammed now. There isn't much space this side, but you've noticed the other side's empty. I think that's because I've had it near the window and it's been slightly a draft coming through maybe, and they've moved to the warmer side of the nest. That's the only reason I can think why they've bulged up all the brood here like they have. But let's check the nest out with a macro lens because you all know I love this. Now if you can see here, they've actually dug into the gypsum in two corners and somewhere else around here as well. All those little powders part of the gypsum. So, but Wakooshi assures me I won't get out the 3D printed part of it, but unfortunately I'm probably not going to check that out now or find out because I'm moving them. But I'll talk a bit more about that in a second. But as you can see here, there's tons and tons of brood. Yes, they're reproducing, and once these hatch, they'll be replaced by others. So I'm going to get another twofold increase in numbers again. So this is like what I was talking about in my last video with these guys. They're difficult to keep on top of, especially if you're not prepared for it. They're gonna own you in their size, and you're going to be struggling to keep them, to be honest. So, but oh look, here's the queen. Doesn't she look pretty? This is what I was talking about. So if you ever struggle to find your queen, look for all the eggs that have freshly been laid. As you can see around her here, well, you can't because it's out of focus now, but there's loads of ants carrying off little clumps of eggs. Now she does reproduce at a rate of knots anyway, as you can probably tell with the amount of brood I've got. But this is how you can locate queen, there's a bulge of eggs there as well. So they generally, if there's small young eggs like that or fresh eggs like that, you know the queen's nearby. But here's a pile of more mature brood because they kind of sort it out into ages as well, which is kind of interesting. Let's see the new nest they're going into. And no, it's not this, I'm kidding with you, but somebody sent me this in to have a look at it, and actually I quite like it. But I've got some camper notes on order from Aunt Davey to put them in there, but that will be going forward. Just kidding. I'm actually sticking them into this MS 5.5. Now, Wakooshi's done me a bit of a favour and he's made two different sizes for the entrances. One's the old tube sizes, so I can connect my old MS nest up to this, and the other one's the new one, so I can move it into the Outworld and the new stuff that Wakooshi's bringing out. And this is the time when I need to connect it all up, and yeah, I'm not looking forward to this part, but we'll see how it goes. As it's a bit of a military operation, this is the kit list. Some cotton wool, some tubing ready to connect to the nest, some PTFA, and some rubber gloves. Because I forgot to get it out, a bit pause in the video, and I've got some mineral oil barrier. Now, you might be asking why I've got two barriers, the PTFA and the mineral oil barrier. Well, that'll become apparent in a second. As you can see what I'm doing now, I'm starting to apply the PTFA barrier to the Outworld. Now, PTFA isn't the best barrier out there, to be honest. I personally prefer to use the mineral oil because I find it more reliable. But Solenopsis are absolute nightmares for getting past barriers. Now, the great thing about the PTFA, which I'm trying to do now badly because the angle for the access hole isn't great for putting barrier on, but then again, that's quite apparent with a lot of Wakooshi's Outworlds. I find it difficult to get the barrier on, so I think it's because I've got big fat chunky hands probably. But anyway, I'm digressing about my chunky hands. So why am I using PTFA is because it dries. It's alcohol based, which is what you apply it with liquid, and that's why it dries so quickly. The problem with the mineral oil barrier is that Solenopsis are absolute nightmares for sticking stuff to it. And if they stick stuff to it, then they can climb on it, and after a period of time, they'll get past it. But because PTFA dries on, it doesn't allow them to stick much to it. So the way they get past this is just by constantly attacking the same area until they wear down the PTFA and get past it that way. And just see, I made a mistake there. I dropped the PTFA on the floor, so I've had to stop this video now so I can clean it all up. So now I've cleaned that up, I'll crack on. Now the PTFE, I keep calling it PTFRA for some reason, but PTFE, when you apply it, it's fairly clear. You can just see the wetness where you applied it. So it's difficult to be thorough, and with these ants you need to be thorough. So I'm trying my best to cover everything. Now I've gone along the sides, making sure I go below the plastic connectors and along the top as well, which I think you've seen me do already, going around the plastic, because they will be able to get on this plastic and they will be able to climb it. So you really need to make sure you put a barrier around that as well as along the sides normally, or along the top. Now I always put a side barrier and a top barrier because it just means I've got more to get through. Now if I can see them, they start to get past the side barrier onto the roof barrier, then that's when I need to look at reapplying. So that's why I do that personally. And with these guys, you do need to keep an eye on them, because I mean, I'm looking at them now in their old setup, because I've not connected it all up yet. I'm literally doing it bit by bit when I'm editing this video. They're already halfway past the barrier on the old Outworld. So, you know, they do get past it quite quickly. You just need to keep an eye on it. I think it was Nirabu, you know, that awesome lady that bought me the S6 nest. She mentioned about the pillars and making sure I put a barrier around them. Now, I did already consider that when I was putting it together anyway, but just in case you guys forget, don't. They will be able to climb up these pillars, obviously, because there's the feeding tubes there, but you need to make sure you apply a good barrier all around that, quite thick as well, because they will get around it. And not only that, though, there's no side barrier to give it that added bit of protection, so you need to make sure you apply it thoroughly all around it. Now with the PTFE, you do need to allow it to dry, because when it dries, you can see this whiteness. And when that's dried up, you can, as you can see here from this picture, you'll be able to tell where you've missed the application of it. So it's a good idea to apply it and wait before you do anything with your ants, which is exactly what I've done. Not only that though, like I said, doing step by step, editing this video as I go along, because by the time I get to the connecting it all up, the likelihood is I will be going to hospital because I've been stung so much. Good news, ladies and gentlemen, I didn't have to go hospital, and this is why. So this is what the mineral oil was for. Great barrier when you're using it against most other ants, but Solenopsis not so good, as I said before. But I am rubbing it all over my hands, so because this won't dry up and it won't give them anything to grip either. So I'm putting the mineral oil all over my hands to stop me from getting stung into the next century. I've been editing this video all day, so if you can hear fireworks now, it's because it's fireworks night, just so you know. But what you did notice when I'm applying this is I didn't put it all over my palms in case I use them to pick stuff up, or over my fingers, so I've still got dexterity. So I'm doing the easy stuff first. I'm going to put the tubing that I already made up. Bearing in mind that even though I'm putting it the wrong way here, because I'm a clever person. Oh, there we go. Well done, Hood, you dumbass. Anyway, I already sized this up and had tubing to the right size, so it wasn't too much of an issue. Preparation again, get the easy stuff done first, and obviously there's no Solenopsis in the new nest at all at the moment, so I don't need to worry about them attacking me, but yeah, they'll attack me anyway. They're really aggressive. As you can see from this picture here, is that the setup doesn't allow me to attach anything to it, so I'm going to have to break it apart, as it were, to get them into the new nest, etc. Unfortunately, the part where I separated the nest from the first Outworld, I thought I hit record, but I didn't, so you missed it. But I didn't get too many escapees, and I managed to police them up quite easily. And again, I swear down, I hit the record button to see me connect this up, but unfortunately I didn't. I think it might have been because of my gloves that didn't register it, but either way, as you can see, as soon as I connected them up, yes, I got a couple of escapees I'm aware, and I do police them up, but as I connected it up, they just burst into the new nest, as it were, and then straight into the Outworld, which is really cool to see, to be honest. I really like watching this bit. Now I've sped this up to ×8, so you can actually see how they search the nest, because it's a lot clearer to see. They actually go around quite methodically, looking at all the chambers and where they want to go. Sorry for the vibrations, as always, another escapee there. And you can also see how they start venturing into the Outworld and forming their own foraging trails, as it were, or scouting trails. And I've sped this up to ×4 so you can see better how they gingerly explore out into the new environment that is the new Outworld. Really interesting stuff, this. But now, as you well know, I've got 2 Outworlds full of ants and I can't get them out. So what I decided to do here is try and hoover a load up, see if I can put my old trusted keyboard hoover, as it were, and see if I can police them up. But this was very inefficient. They didn't really suck up a lot of them, to be honest. And when they were in the hoover chamber, they were just gripping onto the mesh that filters the air, sucks the air through but doesn't get all the dirt through, and that was just near on impossible to get them off that, so I've quickly abandoned that idea. And I didn't film as much as I thought I did, because I thought I filmed myself separating the Outworlds as well, but I didn't. So I've just blocked up the main Outworld, and this one I'm just disconnected both sides, let them come out of the tube, picking them up that way, and then once they've dumbed down in numbers, I've taken out all the carcasses and policed up the rest. Now I did try and tip the excess ants out of this Outworld, but I was getting nowhere, so what I've had to do was pretty much what I did with the smaller one, which was get as many as I can on a cotton wool and then flip them into the Outworld. This took forever, but like I said with these in my last video, patience is key. So if you don't have the patience with these guys, they are going to bite you in the ass. They will sting you into the next century, and you just generally won't be ready for them. So this is how I did it. It worked, and I didn't get stung. Sorry, PJ, but it's true. This is what I was talking about when it comes to these little feeding trays. I mean, that feeding tray for the 2 roaches are in is brilliant. Really like it. And those little hoops there where you put the jellies in, you'll in a second see my fat hands coming in and popping one in, and there I go. There you go, fat hands, fat hands, fat hands. The jelly pots fit really snugly into it, so it's really neat and tidy, and I think it's a really good idea. And not only that though, which I'm really looking forward to, you'll be able to see the foraging trails going up towards the pillars, as it were, towards it, which is why I like ants. I love these foraging trails, and in fact, if you look here, you can see the standard trails getting put out there. You've got one down the left around the pillar, one up through the middle as well, and one going to the right behind the right pillar. So you can see they're kind of foraging trails because they've actually got space to expand now, and you can see more naturalistic behaviour. And that's why big Outworlds like this are pretty cool, where you just don't get this kind of sense of trails and stuff like that in a small Outworld, because they are just so tightly compact. Well, you see my last one in that small Outworld I had them in, they were just rammed in there, and it looked random, to be fair. There was no set pattern per se, they were just all over the place because they didn't have the space to expand out like they do now. So that's pretty cool. Now, I'm not sure if I put it in this video, and I don't think I do, but that back tray there, I've left that in there because I'm going to put the water liquid feeder on there. And of course, Hood loves a time lapse, so he's got to put one in here. This is where you can really see the trails emerging as well. And look how quickly, as soon as they figure out there's food there, they recruit to the cockroaches. It's like literally, I mean, seconds in his time lapse, but it didn't take them long before they started swarming it. As you can see, it slowly builds up. And if I cast your eyes to the left where the honey pot is, or the jelly pot, should I say, when you first start seeing it, you get a couple, one or two, like here's one there now, checking it out, and then it goes off, and then another one comes along, and another one, and before the end you know it, there's tons of them coming to start feeding on the honey pot, not the honey pot, jelly. And this is what I'm talking about, the foraging trails and these pillars, and why I'm so excited by them. This is it. This is the trails I'm talking about. You can clearly see the trail going from, this is where the cockroaches, I believe. You can clearly see the trail going up and down the pillar. You can even see it going to the bottom of the pillar, to the left, where towards the entrances to the nest. So this is what I'm talking. This is prime example, guys. Big Outworld. If you look to the top left here, you can see him doing a bit of a trapeze artist. I think by the looks of it, I think I'll have a quick look in a second. I think it's actually a bit of a cotton wool that got flicked in, and now they're all dangling from it. But anyway, this is why I like this big Outworld, because you can see how they actually more naturally form the trails. It's not the biggest Outworld in the world, of course it isn't, and apparently the new Wakooshi one that's coming out, the biggest one's twice the size of this, apparently, which I've got no space for, honestly. But I love this. I'm absolutely in love. I love the fact I can watch them running up and down the pillar now. This Outworld, yeah, I really like it. Yeah, I'm taken with it now. To tell you the truth, I didn't realise I had this many workers, because you can see them all here. And then if we take a look around, this is the new Outworld. My fun was there too, because I'm such an expert cameraman. And you can see there they've already moved some brood in, but we'll do a macro shot in a second. And you can still see there's tons in this world, the old nest as well. So how many have I got? You guys make a guess, because I don't have a Scoobies, but I've got a lot. And because I love a macro shot, I thought I'd take one in the nest, the old nest, while most of the workers are out, so you can actually have a good look at the brood and stuff like that. Now look at that super major there with his massive head, or her massive head. I've got gender issues, guys, sorry. And by the way, they are feeding each other. This is called trophallaxis. Yeah, cheers, mate. Sorry, I'm just taking the mic. I shouldn't. As you can see here, they have got tons of brood. Absolutely loads of it. And there's the queen. And this is what's talking about the queen. Look at all the eggs around her. Were they probably produced? It wouldn't surprise me if they were produced in between filming the last bit and this bit. And literally, I've been doing this all day. Well, all afternoon anyway, since I got back from work. So yeah, I've lost my train of thought now. Crumbs. Yeah, so if you look at the brood, there's still loads of it. And to tell you the truth, I think this could equally double my numbers again, because there's absolutely loads of it. And they've got a real quick development. I think it's like 28 days from egg to adult. It could even be quicker. I personally don't know. But they don't take long to reproduce. And if we look here in the new nest, which I've just flipped over to, you can see they've started moving the brood, like the mid-aged brood, into here as well. So you can see that they're starting to move. Probably, I think it's more than the conditions being right. I think that the conditions are okay in there. Excuse me, the conditions are okay in there, and they just want to expand. So what's my verdict on this Outworld? And to tell you the truth, I really like it. I love the size of it, because it enables me to get a bit more naturalistic behaviour that you don't get in a small Outworld, as I described before. So far so good. It seems to be Solenopsis proof. I haven't seen any escapees or anywhere they're getting out, so that's really good. But the proof's going to be in the pudding with that one. I think we might have to wait until my next Solenopsis video to see if it is truly Solenopsis proof. If it is, strongly recommend getting this for yours if you get them, that should I say. Don't worry about that light, I'm going to move it in a second so you can actually see properly. And now some people have asked, why am I going to put a substrate in this? And the answer is no. And the reason for that is because Solenopsis bury everything if they get the opportunity. So I don't want to put any substrate in here and then get them burying all the food and bringing it into the nest and obscuring my view. So I am not putting any substrate, I am keeping it the white floor. Even though it won't be white for long, so it'll get mucky. But yeah. And I have slowed this video down, that's why they're moving slowly, just so you know. But anyway, that's it for today then, guys. As always, big thank you for you guys for watching and subscribing. If you haven't, please do. But most of all, I need to say a big thank you to my Patreon supporters. As always, I owe a super massive thanks to Adam W, Adrian, Ants Antic, Ants on the Rock, Antimatter, David D, Kevin R, Paul A, Pavance, PJ Grant, Wakooshi, and Adam W again, because I missed him on last week's credits. Sorry, mate. I actually really enjoyed editing and filming this video today, so I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I enjoyed filming it. So a big massive thanks to you guys, but I will see you in my next video. Bye-bye for now.